Rubino Devil's Digest. Hard to believe we're already in the midway portion of the season. With all the high expectations of this running back group, I know you always strive for more, but would it be fair to say that this group as a whole has really fulfilled your expectations in the preseason?
Absolutely. I think besides us putting the ball on the ground one time, ball security is a huge measure of our achievement. But I think that they've run the ball well. They've been productive out of the backfield, catching the ball. And so, with Chip being hurt the 3 games, I thought Daniel Nagata stepped up really well. And so now having those 3 guys primarily 100%, I think we can rely on them a lot more.
Yeah, Shaun, I was just going to ask about that part of it. What was it like having all 3 available to you to use against Stanford, and how much of it is a game feel situation in terms of how much you might actually use any of the 3?
And I think sometimes, and they don't say it, and it doesn't come out in their actions or the way they present themselves, but you can see sometimes they're probably frustrated because, running backs need carries in order to get into that field. And to share those 3 because they're such productive backs, I think they do a good job doing what their job's supposed to be when they get in there. But again, the feel of a running back, you get in rhythm the more times you carry the ball. And so I can but I can think, as being a running back, I can feel a little bit of frustration. But they don't portray it, but they know that we have one job at hand, and when they get in, those are quality reps instead of quantity reps, and get the job done. And they always talk about winning, and so they're focused and taking game by game, and they're focused on our team winning.
Just along those lines, and I think I've asked you a version of this question, Shaun, but if I'm not mistaken, you had Chip and Daniel already committed before Rashad came along, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So how do you convince a kid who's a junior college transfer who obviously wants to play right away to commit to ASU when you have 2 4-star running backs already locked into that class? What was your pitch to Rashad to get him to come aboard?
I needed an older guy in that group. I wasn't sure of the maturity from them being freshmen and how they would take the lights and the big time. I know they came from big time programs, and that's one of my priorities, to make sure that I take kids from big time programs that are winning programs. And so, but I was still concerned about the maturity in the room, the leadership in the room. And once I talked to Rashad and understood him and his goals and the way he goes day by day from a professionalism standpoint, I told him that I needed that leadership in the room, and then he would have to go and win it out because those guys were in spring ball. And so he had to come and win the job and, get to the playbook quicker and process that, and he did an incredible job.
Did he have any initial reservations, just knowing that Daniel and Chip are already on board?
Rashad is not like that. I think that he wants to compete. I think because they were freshmen in the group, that gave him a little bit of ease, that he can maybe use his experience about that. And it's amazing how those 3 get along, competing for the same job with one ball. Every day I just sit back and I'm just amazed because I'm just waiting for somebody to go become that selfish person, and it's not happening. So.
And just one more thing. I asked Herm this yesterday. Just when you establish that you can run the ball against just about every opponent or every weekend, what kind of confidence does that give you within your room or within the offense?
I think it boosts the confidence, especially with our interior linemen. I think our linemen, and I know you guys saw their hats, run the damn ball or whatever it is they put on their hats, and so they're giving a subliminal message to Coach Hill, but they know the professionalism the running backs have day in, day out. They know that they mean all business, and so when we start running the ball, I think that confidence level goes, and then it takes a lot off of Jaden, knowing that he can sit back more and make his decisions. And so I think the whole confidence level of running that football, and then it's a physical contact. I don't think in any game that we played, in any of the 6 games that we played, that we were out physicaled up front. And that's the kind of tone we're taking for this game against Utah.
Coach, Zach Keenan, Devil's Digest. This week, there's a resolution on the Chandler USD board to pass a resolution that would make the weight room named after Chris Chick.
Absolutely.
Without talking about recruiting or players or anything, could you offer a little insight as to what kind of guy Chris was and what that would mean to have a place named after him?
Chris was with me for 10 years. Incredible friend. Talked way too much sometimes. Sometimes he chased me to my car after practice, and we were there at 10 o'clock. I mean, that's just Chris. But his passion for football and his passion for kids was unbeknownst, and so at such a high level that he loved football. And so I knew he was a huge cog in our offense. I mean, in our success at Chandler. And that's just a little tidbit for him to get mentioned and having that weight room named after him, because him and I especially ran the weight room for 10 years, from 12 in the afternoon till 4 o'clock almost every day. So I was in there, and he did a heck of a job. He just loved football and loved that part. Now you got to try to get away from him, but I know that they miss him there, and I miss him because I used to talk to him probably once a week just to see how he's doing. And that talk for 5 minutes lasted for 2 hours. So, but I miss him, and that's a huge honor for us to have his name on there.
Coach, going back to your Chandler days, once again, you coached against Case Hatch when he was over at Perry. Just what do you remember about going up against him, and how have you seen him grow from where he is then to who he is now?
So Case's family and I go back a ways. His dad, Cody, and I. Every time we saw Case on the other side, we're like, that son of a gun. He's going to be a torpedo. I don't know if he's going to hurt somebody, because he played linebacker at that time. But Case is an incredible kid and comes from an incredible family. He is kind of the silent leader of our group. He's the guy that gets most excited. I don't think anybody on the offense would ever test Case in a fist fight, or make sure that Case is right behind them, because he's that tough guy that brings the maturity because he's older, and he means all business, and absolutely love him. But him being on the other side of Perry, we were always worried where that sucker was at.
Shaun, as a former head coach, and just knowing the versatility of your offense in general here at ASU with Zach Hill and scheming for opponents, what does that provide, knowing that you guys can run like almost anything that you want?
I think first it comes with personnel and having those athletes that can do a bunch of things. And then Zach's creativity, keeping the defense off balance. People really don't know all that eye candy and stuff like that. For us, it's simplicity on our side. For the defense, it's chaos. And so he does a great job, as well as all of our staff, just keeping everybody off balance, and making sure that the defense has to sit back and really look at, from a personnel standpoint, from a play schematic standpoint, what are we going to do? And I don't think anybody can figure that out, because sometimes I can't figure it out. So, but I think Zach does a great job doing that.
I think in the first half on Friday you had 173 rush yards, second half 82. What did you see in the second half that you want to improve on this week?
I think we just had less possessions, plays per possession. I thought we could have capitalized a lot more with our possessions. Of course, I'm always on the phone. Zach, we run the ball. Come on, Zach, run the ball. And he laughs about it. But I just thought that we were a little bit more explosive with Jaden running the ball too in the first half. And then at the end of the game, trying to put it away, that limited our yards per carry. But I feel that if we can rush for between 220 to 300 yards a game, we'll be pretty good. I think that we are capable of doing that, and it starts with the interior up front, and then capable of our running backs, because there are three different guys that are fresh. And I talk about that all the time, is keeping tread on their tires. Of course, the selfishness of I want the ball all the time, but imagine the defensive guys on the other side of the ball 60 times trying to tackle three guys that are fresh. It becomes difficult at the end.
Shaun, you mentioned not being out physical in any of your games. Go back to Utah a couple years ago. You were a younger team, line of scrimmage. They kind of dominated. And then you also have this 150-yard streak rushing, per game. Are you guys like? What do you think about this opportunity in particular, and what Utah presents against you?
2 years ago, I thought we were out physical. I mean, I was sitting back and I was like, oh crap. Those guys brought it to us. I don't get the feeling this year. I think LV as a 17-year-old tackle playing against Anai was difficult for him. I thought that the two interior guys they had a couple of years ago that are probably playing in the league right now were physical. These guys are physical. They're a good football team, but I think the maturity on our side, and I think the focus and business-like of what needs to be done this game, and we all understand the importance of this game. I mean, everybody can say every game is big. We understand the importance of this one, and so I think just from a maturity level, strength-wise, I feel that we are confident with our abilities to own the line of scrimmage.
And do you guys talk at all about this 150 rushing yard per game streak that you're on?
No, we don't talk. We don't talk about it at all. It's game by game, and then we'll wait for the next game. It'd be great going into the bye week with the win. I mean, that makes it feel that much better. But we will only talk about game by game.